1 Timothy 6:20 to 21 reads, Timothy, guard what has been entrusted to your care. Turn away from godless chatter and the opposing ideas of what is falsely called knowledge, which some have professed, and in so doing have wandered from the faith. Grace be with you. The phrase guard what has been entrusted you was a common phrase in Paul's days. It was used in the ancient world of the high obligation of having in trust another person's treasured possession, of keeping it safe, and of returning it as it was. The gospel is God's treasured possession with the power to save everyone who believes. God has entrusted you and me with the gospel to keep it safe and to return it just as it was. Don't replace it. Don't change it. Don't damage it in any way, especially by your own life's testimony. Hold on the faith of the gospel by guarding what God has entrusted you. Empty discussions and false teachings were a real problem at Timothy's church in Ephesus. It is still a real problem today. There are many churches that do not preach the gospel of Christ. Whenever the church's main emphasis becomes anything other than Jesus Christ and the faith of the gospel, it has become distracted and has turned away from God's main focus. Paul describes these distractions as godless chatter and opposing ideas of what is falsely called knowledge. We should turn away from anything and everything that sets itself against the gospel of Jesus Christ, how loudly it may chatter and how attractive it may sound. Paul warns that have some have professed these opposing ideas, and in so doing have wandered from the faith. They have wandered from the true faith of the gospel and from their own personal faith in Jesus Christ through the gospel. Earlier in this letter, Paul spoke of such people as having shipwrecked their faith. 1 Timothy 1 verse 19. Finally, Paul closes out this letter with four simple words: Grace be with you. For Paul, grace of God in sending his Son, Jesus Christ, was central to the salvation and to all life. We are saved by God's grace, we serve by God's grace, and we stand by God's grace. So finally, dearly beloved, guard what God has entrusted you. Turn away from empty discussions and false teachings. Hold on to the faith of the gospel and put your hope in God alone. Be blessed.